morning, and welcome to another edition of the Destination Fantasy Podcast. Today is August 22nd. I'm here with my brother from another mother once again, Mr. Deshaun Reed. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm wonderful. I think this is the closest I have been to like some real football. A lot of starters played yesterday. A lot of fantasy implications going on as well, man. Dude, I'm ready to jump into today's show.
Man, you and me both. All right, so this weekend. So let me explain to the world here. So I was hit up late Friday night about an ESPN Chicago Fantasy Football Championship Convention event type deal. Mind you, me and you, we first learned about this last year after the fact.
Yep.
And this summer I was like searching, Googling, I couldn't find anything on it. I'm like, I wonder did they like not do it? I'm not gonna do it this year. And then on the radio, like a couple weeks ago, I thought I heard a quick snippet of it as I was just, flipping through the channels or whatnot. I'm like, let me search again. Nothing. And so my bro Al from the Al and Pal show, which I will be on this Tuesday, by the way. He was like, hey, I'm going to this, fantasy football convention again this year. Like, if I have the number one pick, who should I take? Like, I told him, like, either Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry. That's just my opinion. But he was like, I was like, hey, do you have any info on this? I've been searching, blah, blah, blah. He's like, hey, I actually have 2 extra tickets if you want to go. So I'm like, I told my wife, like, look, we got to make this happen. I'm trying to hit up Deshaun. He out there, hooping and giving buckets out there. But all in all, I was able to go. Deshaun couldn't go. That was a very eye-opening experience. Got to see Phil Yates, if you know who Phil Yates is from ESPN. Waddle and Sylvie, basically everybody from ESPN 1000 in Chicago. That was a great time. Participated in a draft as well, and oh boy, my team is stacked. It is stacked, and just to read off a couple of names here, not gonna hurt them. But quarterback is Josh Allen, running backs, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, tight end Darren Waller. My flex is Adam Thielen. My defense is the 49ers. The kicker is Harrison Butker from the Chiefs. Bench, we got Kareem Hunt. We got your boy Chase Claypool, Javonte Williams, Ryan Tannehill, Kendrick Drake, Miko Hardman, and Mike Gesicki. I don't know about you, but that is a star-studded lineup in my opinion, and I'm ready to wreak havoc in this league.
No, man. And once you were done with your draft and you sent like the images to me of like your team, I'm like, you had to hit them with that. You know what I mean? It was like the way that your team is set up, when you can have like a player of any caliber, like a wide receiver too, like Adam Thielen is inside your flex, that right there gives you upside. Inside your tight end position, you also basically have another wide receiver 1, which is Darren Waller. So amongst with 2 other top 10 wide receivers on the same 10. So and let me ask this. So this is the PPR league, right?
Yes.
PPR league. So I mean, you're sitting pretty. You landed Josh Allen. I mean, what more do you have to ask for? Your bench is like loaded. It's loaded, man. So no, man, you did a fantastic job, and I took a similar approach in my same draft. Didn't work out the same way. You know what I mean? I wish it would have, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles.
Hey, I mean, just let them know who you got, because I like your team. And to mind you, Deshaun had a draft yesterday. He had to go get a Chris Linehan for it.
Yeah, let me go ahead and read off who I got. Yeah, it's one of those leagues that you in with like some of like your coworkers, and you like to come to work and talk crap. So I definitely had to make sure that my team was decent. So I did all right. So mind you, I had the number 4 overall picking this, and I went Kamara overall, 4th overall. So let me just go ahead and read them off. So I got Josh Allen as my QB1. And again, this is a 1 quarterback PPR league. So Josh Allen, QB1, Alvin Kamara, RB1, Myles Gaskin, RB2, Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 1, Mike Evans, wide receiver 2, Darren Waller, tight end 1, James Robinson inside the flex, Washington defense as my defense. Young Wee Koo is my kicker. Mike Davis is on my bench. Jalen Waddle had to grab a young guy. Ryan Tannehill, you and I both are high on Tannehill this year. Tannehill has weapons. And this one was a pick that I like just basically due to yesterday's game that I watched. And I like what I saw with Corey Davis. I think he is going to establish himself as the wide receiver 1 on that football team. So I took a shot at Corey Davis. So hopefully that'll turn out. And another sleeper pick that I picked up was Ian Smith Jr. of Minnesota. I had an option of actually drafting both of those guys from the New England Patriots. Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry, and I opted to go with more so of like a sleeper. I'm not sure who's going to get like the main catches on that Patriots football team, so I just kind of like stepped back from it and just picked the sleeper. And I ended it with J.D. McKissick, who was fantastic in PPR format, and the rookie Elijah Moore. So all in all, I feel like I got a very, very solid team. I like what I did. A couple of players, you know, eluded me, but it's all good. Like it happened. So one player that I wanted and that I tried to get in pretty much every draft this year was CeeDee Lamb, and I'm super high on him. And he was just missed him, bro. Just missed him.
It's all good, but no, I love your team because it has a lot of upside. I'm just checking out Corey Davis' stats: 4 catches for 70 yards on 6 targets, like as long as 27 yards. I mean, if Wilson and Davis has a pretty good rapport, then I mean, Corey Davis' fantasy value is going to be relevant. That's just what it is.
Agreed.
All right. And, speaking of which, I mean, this week is basically the dress rehearsal for teams. In the past, you used 3 of the preseason, the third game, more so this year is the second week since the preseason got cut down to 3 games. Whew. All right. So, as a Bears fan, it's pretty evident. I mean, just look around me. Headline for my Bears here is Rusty Rifle and the Fields of Dreams. that is my headline here. And so Andy Dalton came out and stunk up the joint, in my opinion. That man was 11 of 17, I think. Yep, 11 of 17. 146. Yeah, 146. 1 TD, 1 pick. I mean, stat line don't look too bad, but if you watch the game and use the eye test, it was abysmal. It was bad. It was 3 and outs left and right. Couldn't get anything downfield, except for that Ricky Adams play, that 73-yard touchdown. That was nice. That was probably the highlight of the game right there for our side. But other than that, Andy Dalton is not the answer. He is not by a stretch, not by any means, not to be mistaken for an accident. He is not the answer. It's just he's not. And so the Bears' first team offense looked bad. Couldn't get anything going. Fumbles all over the place. The offensive line looked bad. Just couldn't get any momentum going. I feel like 60,000 fans paid tickets to watch a very, very bad, poor football game in the first half. When Justin Fields came out, I mean, it wasn't as spectacular as, last week, but, he was able to make plays. He just looked better. He made things happen. you just know the Bears have a better chance of winning when Justin Fields is on the field compared to Andy Dalton. If the line is bad, why not have a mobile quarterback out there to help aid and put a Band-Aid on that? It's like, if you have a bad line, you have a mobile quarterback, it's like, it's not, the issue is not as blatant. It's not as loud.
Right.
And so Justin Fields was 9-19, 80 yards, but he also ran the ball 4 times for 46 yards. So, I mean, he was able to, make plays with his legs, able to extend drives. It's not too many 3 and outs like it was the first time. Honestly, as one of the pivotal members of Bears Nation, we'd rather have seen Justin Fields out there with the first team offense instead of Andy Dalton sticking up the joint. And so, like, when I was at the convention, we watched the first half of the game. The game was still on, was drafting, but I was just more so ready to draft at that point because it was that bad, man. And so, and I noticed your Facebook status, and I made plenty of them yesterday. So, plenty.
Yeah, man. It was one of those things to see. I believe Andy Dalton did throw 1 touchdown, but that was all basically on a wide receiver. He made a hell of a play on the football, and of course they're going to give Andy Dalton a little bit of credit to that. But let's go ahead and take that out for a second. Just like, let's just erase that play. He looked bad. He looked very, very bad. It's just very uninspiring to how his play on the field can translate into actual NFL wins. It's just his play. He's just not that guy. You've already mentioned that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And I mean, one of the things that stuck out from both a fantasy standpoint as well as a reality standpoint is Justin Fields is going to continue to use his legs. He's going to be able to extend plays. I like how he looks outside the pocket. Whenever you can get a young guy that brings you an extra dynamic to like the football field, I just think that it makes it more difficult for defensive teams to game plan for that. So going forward, I'm hoping that, and again, it was a lot to unpack in this game. A lot of negatives though, more so than positives, but you'll have that, especially with a rookie quarterback. He's not going to look sharp every game, and it just seems like the game actually like sped up. And again, he was playing against a pretty solid Buffalo defense. I'm not sure exactly what second string or third string was in at the time, but that's neither here nor there. You're supposed to put your best foot forward every time. But I mean, I've seen enough from Justin Fields to know that he is a guy, and trust me, I've seen plenty from Andy Dalton to say that he's not.
Exactly, and what doesn't help is what Andy Dalton said earlier this week in regards to Fields. He's going to have his time, and he's going to have a great career, but right now it's my time. So for you to say that and to stink up the joint, that's just a double whammy. All he did was just make his job security not as secure anymore. So I don't know, man. But I just know when Justin Fields eventually starts, it's going to be a breath of fresh air. It's going to like hit the reset button. And so.
And what did I give it? Week 3 or 4? I know I said it was one of them that he was going to take over from there. I know it was either week 3 or 4 that I predicted that Justin Fields would be the full-time starter.
Basically, by the time October comes, he should be the quarterback. Yep. That's what we're thinking here. And so that's. And then one last thing, Mitchell Trubisky, former Bear, came out and just had one of his best games. That man was surgical out there. That man, he basically played like the quarterback the Bears thought they drafted. That's what it was. And I'm happy for him. It is what it is. Best of luck to him.
I mean, the funny thing about that, Jamar, was I think it was Reek who actually posted like a picture. Shout out to our boy Reek. He posted a picture and he said it was like a meme, and it said that Mitchell Trubisky was out there killing them, and we have an actual photo of Mitchell Trubisky, and the photo wasn't Mitchell Trubisky, it was Patrick Mahomes. So
that's what it looked like, though.
Yeah, it really did. And like what he wanted to do is come out and show like, all right, let me come out here and show them exactly what they could have had. But different team, different offense, and I understand that. So
Yep, it is what it is. So we're gonna switch gears here from my team to yours.
Okay.
Apparently, Big Ben is still ticking over there.
He's still taking, and like the arm looked good. And again, take, for all like the naysayers out there, take whatever I'm about to say with the grain of salt. But Big Ben looked great. He looked very, very good. 8 for 10, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 158 point. What is it? 158.3 QB rating, which is a perfect one. You can't get any better than that. That's a perfect QB rating, man. So he looked phenomenal out there. The arm looked good. And he threw both his pair of touchdowns to rookie tight end Pat Freiermuth. So, man, he looked very, very sharp out there. Again, it is the Detroit Lions and it is preseason, but it definitely put a smile on Steeler Nation's face. So, Pat Freiermuth looked very, very good inside the red zone. He's going to be good from us, and that is the rookie tight end from Penn State, I believe. And yeah, man, it was definitely a sight for sore eyes for me to be able to see that, even though Dwayne Haskins have been playing okay, even Mason Rudolph has been playing like solid. So I think we're in pretty good shape from like a quarterback standpoint, as long as Big Ben arms holds up throughout like the latter part of the season. And another thing to unpack, a negative and a positive in both ways, was rookie running back Najee Harris. Again, he still didn't have that game on the ground that we were hoping for, that we were wishing for. He was four carries for only 10 yards, 2.5 average, Jamar. So you do the math. He wasn't very explosive on the ground. But in terms of the receiving game, he had 2 catches for 53 yards and an explosive 1 catch for 46 of those yards. Man, he looked very, very dynamic, made a couple of people miss. He looks good in open space for him to be a bigger guy. So it was a lot, man. Like my Steelers look pretty good. And like you said, if this was a dress rehearsal, I do feel comfortable with that going forward. So I got to say, hashtag Steeler Nation, hashtag here we go, man. I was very excited about it.
Nice. And so let me ask you a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't think Chase Claypool played because he got hurt earlier this week, right?
Yep, exactly.
All right, so how do you feel about Deontay Johnson? He had 1 target, but he had 1 catch for 43 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, 6 targets, 5 catches, 39 yards. You see are you teetering anyway? Is it about the same? What do you think?
About the same between those two. I think Chase Claypool, in my opinion, he has the one that has like the most upside, right? Out of that trio of wide receivers. We all know that he can be dynamic. He's a big guy. He's fast, great hands. We utilize him in both the passing and the jet sweep, form. So I mean, he can give you TDs in multiple ways. Deontay Johnson will probably have the best stat line as far as catches to receiving yards goes up on the team. And I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be the guy who's going to get a lot of the dirty work. Like he's going to be like the tough catch guy whenever Big Ben needs a toss, in like a third down situation. I'm quite sure that he's going to look to Juju's way to get that completion. I mean, honestly, bro, like the wide receivers there are fantastic. I like that trio that we have, but as far as separation, I think they're all right next to each other. So it's going to be difficult to sort out even at this point in time. Fantasy draft is still going. So just make sure you kind of do like your homework up on those 3 guys.
Gotcha. And I guess definitely just to piggyback off the running game that you mentioned with Najee Harris, only 2.5 yards a carry. But the 2 catches for 53 yards, I mean, if he can do that every week, I mean, there's definitely going to be some relevancy there.
For sure. And that was one of like the positives that I did mention, Jamar. A lot of people are drafting Najee Harris high. And I mean, not because of that. I mean, it's just volume based. It's simple mathematics. In order to win fantasy football games, the player has to have ample opportunity with volume. So I think he's going to get exactly just that.
Fair enough. So Steelers did their thing. They was up 23-0 before the Lions started scoring points in the fourth quarter. Ended up winning 26-20. Lions still trash as always, but hey, here we go, Steeler Nation. Here we go. All right, so you said that I guess you seen a couple other games that have some fantasy implications here that you like to see. We're gonna start with the Dolphins. #fins up.
Man, like that game, like so I was actually watching a couple of these games while I was drafting and like chilling with my buddies. So let me go ahead and pull up that Dolphins game. A couple of things, man.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa. So he looked great. In my opinion, he looked good out there. He looked poised out there, moving around inside the pocket. Got him a passing TD. I think that one was to Myles Gaskin, of which I drafted yesterday as my RB2. Well, I think he's going to get a lot of work in terms of passing and rushing, but Tua looked good. Tua looked very good, and in order for this team to succeed this year inside of that division, Tua is going to have to step up. He's going to have to be the quarterback in which they drafted him to be, and he has the weapons around him. Make no mistake about it, Jamar. We went on and on about the weapons that he have, and Gaskin and Devontae Parker, and they actually got the rookie Jalen Waddle involved as well. A couple of jet sweeps. He got a couple of catches there. He looked great. The thing about this guy is he's fast. My God, he is fast. He is dynamic. So I think he's going to have a lot of relevancy week one because of the simple fact that I think Will Fuller will be serving a 1-game suspension. So they might come out with a lot of Jalen Waddle in week one, and they're gonna go about it in a lot of different ways. So Myles Gaskin looked sharp. He looked sharp on the ground as well as the receiving game. Tua Tagovailoa looked very good. He looked very, very good, as well as I'm happy that they got Jalen Waddle involved. Mike Gesicki, I think he had a couple of catches for like 40-something yards. I'm just throwing these numbers right off the top of my head, but all in all, man, the fans look really sharp, and we know what their defense is about. So this is a team that I can predict to win about 10 to 12 games this season, Jamar. They are legit.
So, Tua. So our preseason ranking, we have him at QB 21.
Yep.
We also on Instagram, I think last week or the week before, posted him as a sleeper pick. So
we did.
I mean, do you feel like he is a little higher than that? Matter of fact, we have Derek Carr at 20, Daniel Jones at 19, Ryan Fitzpatrick at 18, Baker at 17. Do you think he's leapfrogging any of those guys right now or not?
As of right now, I think he leapfrogs all of those guys. Every guy that you name. Look, the weapons that he has is just ridiculous. Like, they got guys who can make plays in both the backfield as well as the receiving game. And we know what that defense is about. They're going to generate turnovers, which means that the ball is going to be in Tua's hands a little bit more. It's going to give those offensive players a little bit more opportunity to, gain fantasy relevancy. And I like this team a lot. And it's going to be one of the teams that I cannot wait to watch on Sundays or whatever day that they decide to play. Hopefully they do have a lot of primetime games. Tua, big sleeper. Big sleeper. Do not sleep on this guy. This is the guy that you want to add to your roster. And trust me, it will pay dividends by the season's end.
Fair enough. And I believe Will Fuller nor Devontae Parker played, so that just, makes it more interesting going forward when week one comes around for them. And just so you know, Kyle Pitts didn't play either. For anybody that was, wondering about the star tight end for the Falcons, he didn't play.
Yep.
Now tell me about this Disney Channel quarterback, also known as Zach Wilson.
Yo, that's funny. He does look like he can play on like a, you remember those Disney Channel original movies?
Man.
From back in the day, man. Yeah, it looks like he could be like a star for one of those. But from Disney Channel movie star to actual NFL star, man. The number 2 overall pick in this year's draft, man, he looked good. He looked very, very good. And the thing about this guy is, like, I had a couple of games watching. Me and my son talk about Zach Wilson a lot.
Yeah.
And he asked me which quarterback do he think that I think was going to have like the most upside going into this season. And I think that it could be Zach Wilson. The way that this guy maneuvers, when he's outside the pocket and just deliver balls on a Don is just ridiculous. We know his arm strength, and he does look like an Abercrombie and Fitch model. But at the same time, this guy just goes out there and he gets it. He gets it done. And again, man, I know preseason is what they're doing right now. They're just amping us up. They're amping us up. But I'm amped and I'm pumped for this guy. And that doesn't have anything to do with me drafting him as my QB2 inside my dynasty league. Well, a little bit. So it does. He looked fantastic with he went 9 for 11, 128 yards and two scores. Michael Carter, the rookie running back there, he looked pretty good, Jamar. 10 carries for 52 yards, man. So I know you and I both are heavy on Michael Carter late in the draft. If you can add him, just add him. He'll give your your team a little bit more depth as well as tremendous upside there. Corey Davis, 4 catches for 70 yards. Now, I know that may seem a little, like, okay, whatever. But he looked very, very good. And it looks like him and Wilson is, starting to gain that rapport there, Jamar. This could be a 1-2 punch that we may get used to. And keep in mind, Corey Davis was a former first-round pick. And, I mean, so the talent is there. So, they look – the New York Jets look very, very sharp. They're 2-0 in the preseason. Take what you want to take out of what I just said about them being 2-0 and it being a preseason. But as far as like fantasy relevancy, man, it's a lot of guys there.
I really feel like this is not the same old Jets. I really believe this is a different breed here. Definitely high on Michael Carter. I know Elijah Moore didn't play, but I'm high on him too. Just the fact that Zach Wilson is there to deliver the ball accurately to receivers, and it sounds like Corey Davis is the big beneficiary right now, but we haven't seen Elijah Moore play yet. But the fact that they can move the ball, I know it's only preseason, but it gives hope. It gives you like a little bit more comfort level if you did decide to draft one of these guys from the Jets. Jets are one of those teams that we used to like write off with players that we don't touch from.
Right.
I feel like we about to snatch that label off here. I feel like we can actually like draft a couple of these guys.
No, man, I'm with you. I'm with you a bunch. And this was a game that I had to sit down and watch just to see how this young guy would do. And honestly, if we want to say from a quarterback perspective, who has looked the best thus far, I mean, you can easily toss Zach Wilson's name into like the hat as far as like rookies go and performance wise inside the preseason. So he looks pretty good, Jamar. He looks damn good, honestly.
Man, that is great news. So next topic I want to get on is we have a couple of quarterback battles here, which, depending on who's the starter, can affect probably the players that you draft, honestly. And so first one I want to mention here is the one out in Mile High, Denver, between Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. Teddy Bridgewater yesterday was 9 of 11, 105 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Drew Lock was 9 of 14 for 80 yards, no picks, no touchdowns. Both of these quarterbacks so far this preseason has played really well. I feel like Teddy still has the advantage here, in my opinion. And if so, I feel like the biggest beneficiary to that is going to be second-year guy Jerry Judy. I really feel that way. His route running to me is top 10 in the league already. He knows how to get open. That man had 2 catches for 40 yards. I just feel like his talent, there's a reason why he went in the first round last year.
Right.
So I think he's going to be featured. I know Cortland Sutton's going to come back and, might take some of the targets away. But when you have a guy that can put the ball on the money, that seems comfortable here in this system, and it's starting to make it seem like last year was a fluke type deal with the Panthers, and it's starting to look like the Teddy Bridgewater that was with the Saints. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fancy relevant guys. We might actually see the Broncos like weapons, come to fruition here that we've been talking about for the past couple of years. We've been high on this young core. Minus lock, even very high. So yeah, I definitely like Judy. I think Noah Fant. I think he can put up numbers. Cortland Sutton. I think he could be a respectable wide receiver too, flex option here. So I'm hoping Teddy wins the job. I am. Like as good as Locke played. I've seen enough out of Locke to know that's not your guy. So.
I would have to agree. And like to go back to like the Jerry Judy thing, Jamar, like man, Alabama's just pumping them out, ain't they? It's as far as wide receivers go, man. Like we just mentioned a couple of those guys, Waddle, Judy, Devontae Smith, like all excellent wide receivers, man. And even Devontae Smith was up on display when he just turned the guy 360 degrees around in one of the routes that he ran. It was like, dude, it was beautiful. And like that guy, he's gonna be something. But Jerry Judy, I think this is his coming out party this year, especially if Teddy Bridgewater takes over under center. And honestly, I think he probably is the better quarterback for this team as of right now out of those two guys. Like you already mentioned, we saw enough of Drew Lock to just know that he's just not the guy. We don't want a repeat of the same story from last year.
Not at all. And so yeah, just keep on the lookout for that. But I feel like Teddy's going to be named the starter for Week 1. Another battle that actually happened on Thursday here between Mac and Cheese, Mac Jones and Cam Newton. I feel like Cam Newton came out there and maybe silenced little critics. 8 of 9. 103 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and the only incompletion he threw, the guy dropped the ball. So he looked surgical out there. I mean, Cam Newton is the starter. I feel like tight ends are still, be a big factor in that. But the fact that he was hitting up Jacoby Myers here, it makes me wonder because Jacoby Myers was there last year, so he's more, I guess, play with him, I guess, technically longer than most of the guys that he has around him now. And if he could continue to hit the guys over the middle like that in stride, then it's like just maybe Cam Newton might actually come up in our rankings. And so, matter of fact, we didn't even rank the man. We didn't rank Cam at all. So, nope. I don't know. He's outside our top 25 right now. So, not saying that he is, a weekly starter by any means, but I don't know. He might play himself into relevancy again.
No, I just think it's just one of those things to where it's like you always want to take like the wait and see approach, right?
Yeah.
We already know that they turned that team. They flipped it upside down. They gave Cam some weapons. But will that generate into automatic success? And like that's the thing that we are waiting to see. I just think it's more safer guys like out there than Cam Newton right now. But let's keep in mind, Cam Newton is a former NFL MVP. We know he can get the job done if he is playing, in the right system and he has the proper weapons around him to be able to utilize his strengths. So Cam could be a potential sleeper depending on how the season goes, but keep in mind, Mac Jones, like you said, he looked pretty good. And at some point, we expect to be the passing of the torch on that team, or else, New England wouldn't have moved up to get Mac Jones. Mac Jones just basically fell into like their lap, and I think that was what Belichick wanted to do all along. It just seems like he's the prototypical quarterback for that system. So, I think that was one of the things that was pretty much holding Cam back is because they do have Mac Jones there. And eventually we do expect for Mac Jones to be the starter. It may not even be this year, Jamar, but eventually he will be. So, we didn't rank Andy Dalton inside of our rankings because we already know that Justin Fields is there. So it's just one of those things where it's like, you just kind of want to take the wait and see approach. He's going to be a great waiver ad for sure if you need to pick up a quarterback on like a week-to-week, basis. So,
no, that's fact. I just feel like Mac Jones, like he looked okay. He looked solid. He looked conservative. And whenever he becomes the starter, I feel like the value of those players might dwindle a little bit. Tight ends may not dwindle as bad, but the fact that he's conservative and don't really take too many shots downfield, and his floor is definitely not as high as most quarterbacks because of his inability to move around. I don't know. He'll probably be more a better real life quarterback than a fantasy quarterback at that point. So, one more battle I want to highlight here, and they actually play Monday, is what's going down in New Orleans. So you got Jameis Winston, you got Taysom Hill. Last week, Jameis Winston was 7 of 12 for 96 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Taysom Hill was 8 of 12 for 81 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. So, and if I'm not mistaken, the Saints in general turned the ball over 6 times. So this is one of those teams I'm not high on to begin with. And this is what I meant to ask you earlier when you took Kamara in your draft. I assume that Ezekiel Elliott was right there, and you had bad blood with Ezekiel Elliott, and you just went with Kamara.
Yep.
Yeah. And so Kamara, me personally, Kamara's fantasy value depends on who starts.
Big facts.
Yeah, Kamara's not going to look too good because even though they were 3-0 last year when Taysom Hill started, but Kamara's value went to the toilet. It pooped out. James Winston starts, then hey, I think Kamara's still an RB1. It's just the uncertainty there. It just makes you wonder.
No, that was one of the bigger things that was on my mind, and I think that Zeke will be fantastic. It's just if you're going to draft a player from the Saints, it's going to be Alvin Kamara. And without Drew Brees, I feel like that they're going to lean on a running game a little bit more. And yeah, I am banking that Jameis Winston will get the nod there. And I think that will bode well for his overall, upside. So yeah, it was a bit of a gamble. It really was. And yeah, the bad blood, honestly, from Ezekiel Elliott is pretty much gone. I just think that in terms of fantasy production this year, I think that Alvin Kamara can, just outproduce Ezekiel Elliott. I think they're going to go with a more so of a pass-based offense in Dallas. They have those weapons there. They have enough pieces there to where they're going to let Dak air out the football. And I think he's going to air it out a lot, which is going to take away from Zeke's overall value, in my opinion. Both still 2 fantastic picks. Don't get me wrong. We're still splitting hairs here, and it's the number 4 overall pick that I had. So that was definitely a choice that, yeah, man, it was tough, Jamar. It really was. And that pick took me until I think I had 12 seconds on the clock. It was definitely just above 10. For me to be able to make that pick. So
understood. And you hit the nail on the head on my next point was the only player that you're really drafting from the Saints is AK-41.
Yep.
You're not touching anybody else. Michael Thomas, he elected to have surgery late this offseason, so he's not going to be there for the foreseeable future. And plus, on top of that, he don't even want to be there. So there's a chance that he might get moved if he's healthy in time. Who knows?
Yep.
And by time, let's just say he's out for the first 8 weeks or whatnot, and then he gets on the field. It takes him a couple of weeks to actually get up to speed, and by that time, it's you basically just wasted the whole draft pick on him.
Right.
I don't expect him to come in and be the league winner down the line. I mean, you can quote me on that, and if he ends up being it, then so be it. But I feel pretty confident that that's not going to happen unless his circumstances change. If he ends up in a new team, that's a whole different ballgame. If he stays on that team and comes back, I don't see it. I really don't.
I think he was still available in our draft, and somewhere around it was between rounds 8 and 10, and I elected to take Jalen Waddle over Michael Thomas, because the upside is there with the guy that's going to actually play weeks 1 through however many weeks he's out. So no, I don't want any part of Michael Thomas unless he's just there in round 12 and it's okay, he just fell into my lap. I doubt he'll last that long. I'm definitely gonna stay away from him. But yeah, man, AK-41 is the only guy that you want to own on New Orleans right now.
And that's crazy because, a year ago, or 2 years ago, we would not be having this conversation.
Not at
And
all.
and now the Saints are almost turning into the Aints as far as, not taking anybody from their team. If it wasn't for AK-41, then it's like they'll be on our short list of teams.
Wow. Oh, man. Hey, that's dirty. So you're going to turn them from the Saints to the Aints. Okay.
As far as fantasy value, it's just about there. Because, look, we don't touch players from the Texans. We don't.
Nope.
For years past and whatnot, the Jets was basically on that list. We don't touch running backs from the Patriots. We don't do that. Outside of AK-41, we're not touching anybody on that team. Deshaun, honestly, without looking at this box score here, I can't name 3 pass catchers outside of Michael Thomas on the Saints. I can't. I don't know them. Not anymore. So, especially if Tannehill becomes a starter, I'm definitely not going to know him because the ball's not going their way.
No, I'm with you. I think what's the Troutman guy, the tight end there, him. Damn, they got a speedster there. I forget. Yeah, so it's tough.
Traquan Smith. Outside of him,
there we go.
That's it, and that's because he was somewhat like a deeper league fantasy value when Drew Brees was there.
Yep,
that's it. I don't know these guys.
If he's still even there, I don't even know if he's still with the team.
Man, and really quick, this is just a side note because I wanted to ask you this question. We asked it yesterday on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast.
Yeah.
Least likely to make the playoffs in the NFC. I'm gonna leave you alone with the AFC, but the NFC. I understand my Bears had no business in the playoffs,
right?
And I understand that the Saints with Drew Brees was something special, but or the football team or whatnot. Who's least likely to make the playoffs that made the playoffs last year?
All right, so let's do this. Can you name the teams that made the playoffs so I can know exactly who I'm dealing with? I'm just gonna jot them all down as you're naming them.
You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, so we got the Packers, the Bears, Seahawks, Rams, football team, Saints, Bucks.
All right, so by default, Packers are in, Bucks are in. Seahawks are in. I would even put the Rams in. Washington should be up and coming. That leaves 2 teams. Jamar? That leaves 2 teams. That leaves the Bears and the Saints. And I'm going to give you guys an edge over the Bears. Over the Saints. So I'm going to check off the Bears. And that leaves the Saints. Look, the Saints are in disarray right now. They don't know as far as the quarterback that's even going to be on the field. You can't even name the pass catchers on this football team outside of Laddie Murray and AK-41. Who's there? Who's really there? You know what I mean? So it's I think this is one of those teams that's going to be technically in a rebuilding year. They are. This is life after Drew Brees right now. So they're going to have to figure a ton of things out to remain relevant. Not even from a fantasy standpoint, but a reality standpoint. I just can't see them being a team that's going to make any type of noise. And I get it. Even if the quarterback is Mr. 30 for 30, yes, that's going to bode well from a fantasy perspective, but that doesn't always translate into NFL wins, let alone an actual playoff berth. So, man, I'm gonna have to go with the Saints, man. I know you guys are right there because you still do have some growing pains to overcome, but in those skill positions, I like them better than what the Saints have, man. And I'm just being completely honest.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure what I was thinking yesterday made sense.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to see that portion of it.
Yeah,
but yeah. So
I guess you came in on the portion I was bad mouthing your Steelers.
Man, doing my Steelers dirty, man. I'm like, oh man. But no, shout out to the homie Brandon Price and the early morning sports talk podcast, and like you guys are phenomenal. I say this week in, week out. That's how I get my Saturday started whenever I'm not at work. So definitely make sure that you guys tune into that podcast as well. But so yes, you guys were bad mouthing my Steelers, but a lot of good points were made. The running game, question mark still. And that was evident yesterday. It really was. So you had a lot of valid points. That just that division overall, Jamar, has just gotten better. You know what I mean? Ben Roethlisberger probably is the worst quarterback right now in that division. Like, that may be true, but in a pressure game situation, I'll take a healthy Ben Roethlisberger over all those guys. So if we can actually just get the ball rolling, and shout out to my guy Brandon, he was standing up. You know what I mean? Steelers did win 11 games in a row, which is very difficult to do inside the NFL. I completely understand that, and I love that he made that point. But the proof is in the pudding, and unfortunately, the writing is still on the wall that if that running game does not sure up, and I mean fast, like, we're going to be just an afterthought. I still think we got enough weapons on offense to get it done. The defense, y'all already know what it is, still top 5 inside the NFL. And shout out to that dope pickup that we made with Joe Schobert, the linebacker. Like, man, he already got in there with the first team offense as soon as he got there, and he looks good. He looks very, very good. He looks ready to attack and pounce. So I think my Steelers are going to be okay. That division is difficult, and we do have the hardest schedule based off of last year's projection. So, man, we're definitely in for like a tough battle, but I still think we can win about 10 games. But will that be enough in a 17-game season?
That's the question.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Because it was like 10 games wasn't enough for the Dolphins last year in the 16-game season. So
I know it, man. Hey, you guys made some valid points, and this is coming from a huge Steelers fan. So
no, I mean, every time that I have to like say something negative about your Steelers, I do feel bad, man. I just don't want to. I'm just not the person to come up here and just bash your team every week just to bash them.
No, the points were valid. It's still some uncertainty there. The game yesterday did make me feel a little bit better as far as what Big Ben's able to do in the game. You still got to take that with a grain of salt. Got that running game has to be there. So number 22, we are dependent on you, man. So.
And the last thing I'll say is, your team has proven time and time again that they will be in a playoff hunt no matter what towards the end of the year. And if, like you said, which I agree, if it comes down to high leverage moments, I mean, you have the best quarterback in that division to get it done. It's going to be a dogfight for your team.
Yep.
But they're going to be right there in the thick of things. I feel like they are one of the teams to least likely to make a mistake towards the end of the year to get it done. So you got a chance, serious chance to pull off that. And in my opinion, if that's the case, 3 teams from your division going to the playoffs again. So yeah, man, today was fun. Is there anything that we missing or anything you want to touch on? Because
nah, man, it's just, dude, like the excitement right now is bubbling, Jamar. It's boiling, lobster inside like of a pot right now. So we're almost there. You and I both got our feet wet inside, a traditional style draft. We got our feet wet inside of a dynasty draft, which both of our teams are looking pretty strong inside, like both of them. So this is going to be one of those things in which we keep you guys updated on a week-to-week basis once the season gets started. This is just going to be fun times as the season gets underway. We got like a bunch of like little surprises for you guys coming, through weeks 1 and 2 once the season gets kicked off, and we'll definitely get into that a little bit later. So.
Absolutely. And so 2 games today. One kicks off at noon. You got the Giants at the Browns, and then one at 6:30 p.m. Just quick note, these are Central Time. Central Standard Time. You got the Niners and the Chargers. So
looking forward to that one.
I want to see what Trey Lance going to do there.
Jay Herb on the other side.
Yep. And then even in the first game, I want to see what Danny Dimes going to do out here.
Danny Dimes.
Man, you better live up to that nickname. but all in all, man, I guess where can they find us, good sir?
Man, you can find us on Pandora, Amazon Music, my favorite, Apple. Like we're everywhere where podcasts can be found. So make sure you check us out up on one of those. Anyone that you pick up, we're basically pretty much always there. So this will be up on like the YouTube page. So definitely make sure that you check us out on the YouTube page. Give us a thumbs up. Me and my homie here, Jamar, and make sure that you sub up. It definitely helps the channel go a long way so we can get pushed into the higher, tier of like the algorithm. And again, every like, every subscription, everything is greatly appreciated.
Yes, sir. And then real quick, I know I mentioned the website, but let me actually show you the website real quick.
Hey.
So this is the website, thedestinationfantasy.com. I'm telling you, this is a one-stop shop for everything that you need to know. Got the music, got the podcast player right there. Got our blog here when we, give us, when we give y'all, the rankings and whatnot, anything that needs to be noted. Recent episodes, you can subscribe right here. You can find us on all these platforms right
here.
Yep. And so got our Twitter feed going. Ready for Justin Fields, like trying to get it done. Got the Facebook going, blog post down here. So man, definitely, subscribe, check us out. We appreciate all of that. We really do. So all right. So once again, from my brother Deshaun, I'm Jamar. We will see you all next week. Deuces, much love. Thank you all.